Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome and Happy New Year to everybody. So, something new. It's time to announce another little new development on my channel. So, I was approached by Oleg from Litaki Models in the Ukraine. I think he's seen some of the work I've done with ICM and other reviews that he's seen of mine, and I think he was quite impressed, reasonably impressed, and decided he'd like me to asking if I would do some reviews of their kits. Now, Litaki are not like ICM; they're a much smaller company, but basically they have 3 products currently in the range, with plans for more. I'm not too sure yet what they may be, but we can sit back and see. So we're going to start off with this one, which is the TU-22M2 Backfire B bomber, which of course is the anti-ship missile carrier, and this is really the #1 sort of perceived threat against the Royal Navy in the 1980s, and that was why things like the Sea Harrier was actually developed. It was specifically aimed at shooting down these things. That was the whole purpose of that project, and then of course they ended up being actually used in the Falklands War in anger, but very successfully too. But this was the perceived threat from the Soviet Union, Warsaw Pact countries, and of course Ukraine was one of those countries in those days. And here we have a Ukrainian version of the bomber. So it's 1/144 scale, which is smaller than normal, but of course these are quite big aircraft, so that's a very sensible scale for it actually. So this is completely new to me. I've not ever seen a Litaki kit before, so I'm just going to take it. I did see somebody else had also done a review on this about 2 weeks ago, and I instantly switched it off as soon as I realised what it was, because I knew this was on the way to me in the post, and it's just arrived. So I say just, you're probably watching this at New Year, so it arrived just before Christmas. And here in fact on the box, and I should say by the way, it is their kit number 144001, so this is the very first kit in fact in the series. On the side, however, we have got some of their other products, which we'll be seeing very shortly, and that's the J22 and the NJ22, the Oriole. Now that's basically a Yugoslavian sort of ground attack stroke air superiority fighter, mainly aimed at ground attack, that has to be said. And this really is an aircraft, and we'll get into that in another day of course, but basically a copy of the Nat, really, the actual Yugoslavs, before the complete breakup of the back in the days of when the Cold War came to an end and the Berlin Wall came down. These guys were very keen on the Nat aircraft, but they were obviously told that the British weren't prepared to sell them to them, nor were we prepared to sell them the Neen engines. We'll get into that another day. Anyway, let's focus on the TU-22 today, and we'll see what this is like. A completely new manufacturer. It's a blank sheet of paper as far as I'm concerned, which is going to be interesting. So, it says, ready to assemble scale model kit, contains parts of one model, suitable for people over 14, blah blah blah, sharp parts, etc. It's got 242 parts. That's quite a high part count for something that's not that huge overall. Wingspan is 238mm, 23 centimetres and 288mm length. There's photo etched, hang on a second, I misread this. Plastic parts 242, but photo etch parts 158 photo etch parts. Wow, that's a lot of parts, isn't it? And it's decals for 3 different options, and 3D printed parts are included in the kit as well. So there's actually a lot in here, so it's going to be very interesting. Now, I'm guessing that these guys are relatively small manufacturers, as I've said, but a bit more of a cottage industry, lower volume manufacturer than we're probably used to. Here we've got one bag. Oh, it kind of bodes well. This, it looks quite nice. The packaging is very good. Look at that. They've got, I don't know if that's clear parts or I think it is. They've got that packed well. We've got lots of. There's no movement in here at all. Lots of bubble wrap. There's a set of screws in another bag there, and a third bag of screws there. Quite a lot of stuff in this box. Oh, the photo etch parts are small. And then we've got what looks like a colour call out and a poster. Look at that! Isn't that nice? That's nicely done. You can, an A4 size poster that you can actually, if you wanted to frame it, you could do that. Isn't that nice? They've done that really, really well actually. I like it already. So let's have a look at what we got then. Quite a lot of packaging, which is always good to see because it shows that we're not going to let it get damaged in transit. Made in the Ukraine, as I said. I'll pop that over there. Let's have a look at this. So, and there's actually a bag here. All the instructions come in like a little, it's almost a pamphlet, isn't it? Excellent. Right, well, we'll have a look at this first. So we've got the colour callouts here. And they're all Ukrainian only because I think they're obviously sensitive to the... oh, no, I'm wrong. There is actually 1989. They've actually got a Soviet one. There is one Soviet one. We'll have a quick look at this because it is before the Berlin Wall, so it's Soviet as opposed to Russian. This aircraft was rolled out of the Kazan Aviation Factory, 1983, 26th of February. Gosh. And it was used at the Ukrainian Naval Aviation Air Base at Mykolaiv. Bomber was scrapped in November 2002. It didn't have a very long life then, did it? Didn't even manage 20 years. Oh gosh. So there's actually 3 different options here, different serial numbers. How interesting. So there are 3 options. 1. Oh no, I see. It's just the way they've done it, sorry. So that's number 1 I just spoke of. The one that was scrapped in 2002. That's the first one. So obviously it was in Soviet colours. Then we've got number 2, 5804. It's a bit annoying to put the history on the opposite side. The aircraft rolled out of Kazan on the 22nd of August 83, same year. And this was scrapped in 2004. It was used for combat training amongst other things. Also at Mykolaiv. And then the third one, which is the Soviet one here, as I just mentioned, operated by the Soviet Naval Aviation at Kameny Ruchi Air Base. I think that's in the north of the Soviet Union. And the plane was lost on the 23rd of November 1989 when it crashed into the sea and all crew members died. Oh dear. Okay. So yeah, so they've got the history of the aircraft, which is quite impressive. All the markings are there. Showing it with its swing wings. That's a good start. They've got some history. Let's have a look at this then. Let's just draw me back a bit. So I'll go all the way and then draw back here. This is quite interesting to have a completely new manufacturer and something new to look at. It's always welcome. So thank you to Litaki Oleg. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the review. See what I make of it. No preconceptions because I've never seen one before. Right. Oh, so my word. So we've got... Okay, so I'll come to those in a second. We'll have a look at this first. History on the back, just like ICN. That's excellent. That's just what we want. It says on the front, Dear Modeller, this is the first 144 scale model by Litaki of the famous TU Backfire B supersonic bomber. We tried to make the kit as detailed as possible to this scale. We hope you'll like the assembly process and the resulting model. We are now working on several other model kits in various scales, including 172 and 148. Ooh, stay tuned for our news. That's very promising, isn't it? Excellent. Can't have too many kit supplies. It's good to see a new one coming through. Anyway, it says about the TU-22. It says it's a variable sweep-wing supersonic bomber created by the Tupolev Design Bureau in the 1960s. The aircraft prototype carried out the first flight in 1969. While the TU-22M version entered service in 1973. Yeah. It's quite advanced looking aircraft, really, you know. Unlike some of their aircraft like that Su-17, which looked very outdated. That was swing fitter, wasn't it? That was a swing wing as well. That just looked a bit outdated. By the way, before I forget, I've got a drink here. I'm just going to toast you all. Happy New Year. Hope, health, wealth and happiness in 2025 to all of you, including our friends in Ukraine, of course. Yes, I'm still on the Balvenie from Christmas, by the way. If you think I managed to make that last all the way through Christmas into New Year, you're kidding yourself. That's obviously gives you an idea when I filmed this. Anyway, back to the plane. The airplane was capable to develop a maximum speed of up to 1,800 kilometres an hour, Mach 1.46, and could carry out low altitude passes evading enemy defences. Air defences. The main armament of the bomber was the KH-22 and KH-15 missiles. So that's obviously air-to-air, as well as bombs of various calibers. A total of more than 210 of these Tu-22 bombers were built. 210 is quite a lot for such a big thing, isn't it? Most of them were in service in the Soviet naval aviation, and their main task was to counter the fleet and aircraft carrier groups of a potential enemy, like the UK and USA. In the late 1980s, the TU-22M2 began to gradually be decommissioned and replaced by the newer TU-22M3. Trying to remember what that difference is. Yeah, I think it had a bit of a... Is that the I'm trying to think what the difference is, I can't remember. After the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the Ukrainian Air Force had its naval aviation 18 of the Tu-22M2 aircraft of different versions. According to the Lisbon Protocol of the START 1 anti-nuclear proliferation treaty, which Ukraine signed in 1992, I bet they wish they hadn't now, the country had to eliminate all strategic means of delivering the nuclear weapons, including these aircraft, which were scrapped between 2003 and 2004. One of them is exhibited in the Ukraine State Aviation Museum in Kiev. Kiev, we should say. Thanks to its distinctive design, it became one of the symbols of the Cold War of the 20th century. That's a really good write-up. I'm really impressed with that. It's English word perfect as well. Very good. So let's have a look. What do we have? I'll zoom you into this. It's quite small, but handling it might be tricky. Let's have a looky. Okay, here we go. So, shows you all the parts, decals. We've got, they've provided everything, haven't they? We've got decals in two different sets. We've got P parts on the fret. We've got 3D parts for the engine nozzles. Wow. A mask set, that's cool, that's cool. Then we've got all the different sprues. Tells you which glues you might want to use. And then we get right into it. So, starts off, don't forget this is quite a small scale, so bear that in mind when we're looking at things like instruments and internals. It won't have the sort of detail you'd expect on a 48 scale kit or even 72. So we've got basically where the crew are going to sit, and you actually have a crew, I think, of 4, I think I'm right in saying, yes, crew of 4. So you got 2 twin seats that are in tandem style, with 2 again tandem style instrument panels, one in front of the other. Then over here we're going to build up our nose, and obviously it says use weight. Don't actually tell us how much weight to put in there. I guess you just fill it up really with some lead or liquid gravity or something like that. Then you bring in that pre-constructed cockpit area in, and then you've got the wheel well for the nose gear there. Then it tells you to use super glue on your PE parts. Well, obviously I won't be using any of that because I don't like it and it makes me ill. So just a quick reminder, this is the stuff I'll be using. It's the Ammo Ultra Glue, which is a very high strength PVA style water-based glue. Anyway, back to the engines. So you build up your engines, you've got your afterburner rings visible there, and the main pipes. Pipes are in halves, so you might have a seam that might be visible, I'm not sure. Then you've got your intakes coming in here for the front intake ramps, so to speak, for the engines. Going on either side. Does remind me, that image, it just reminds me of a F111 slightly, doesn't it? Perhaps you get the same impression, I don't know. And then we have got, I'll zoom in a bit more. Then we've got the wells for the wheels that you're going to construct, the walls of the wells, and then putting those in here. Instructions are pretty clear, aren't they? Then you're building up all this, the whole of the wheel well area there. And you've also got the supports for the internal parts of the intakes. Then you're going to bring down the, I'm right in saying it's the lower fuselage down onto the lower wing area there. And then you've got your Then you've got your upper. I keep forgetting because I'm looking at the image and I'm thinking in my head it's a high wing, swing wing design, but it's not, is it? It's very unusual. It's a low wing design, so the wing sits at the bottom of the fuselage. Unusual. And then you're going to have to, again, it says super glue for these PE parts. Sorry, 3D parts, big pun. Which have we seen those yet? I haven't actually seen 3D parts yet. Can't say I've spotted those as yet. Not sure where they are. Perhaps they're hidden in there. Anyway, then we're going to bring our top and bottom wings together, bringing in your tail sides, and then you've got your horizontal stabilisers, all very conventional stuff, and then bringing all the swing wings in, complete with the sort of covers, the cowls that go over the inboard section of the wing, bringing in your tail, putting on the top of the tail there. Got some like a sensor array as well at the back. I think they landed with the parachute, these. I don't think they have reverse thrusters, so they've got a parachute pod as well. You have got the mounting points there for the vertical stabilisers going in, and then the stabilisers themselves. And then we're going to build up our gear. Wheels and tyres, tells you which colours to paint them. And you've got it signposted here for you as well. Left landing gear, and then showing that all being built up with all the hydraulic arms, actuation arms, and then on the other side it's the right landing gear. Starboard, I think they normally say. And then you've got this almost like a Concorde style running main gear arrangement on either side, except that instead of having 4, it has 6 wheels and tyres. Same on the other side. That's quite cool, doesn't it? This it's got a touch of the Tupolev Concorde ski about it, of course. It will do, of course. It's from the same era. And then we have got the main nose gear going in there. And there's also a sensor array. Doesn't say what it is, but it's some kind of a probably laser guiding mirror for the laser guiding system and camera system. And then we've got lots of these little PE parts. Now these do, I've got to say, they do look a bit fiddly because they're very small, aren't they, from what we've seen so far. Quite a lot of super gluing going in here, but it's very helpful because it tells you the angles there that they should be actually positioned at, which is good. And again, lots of super glue here. You've got the rear guns. It has a rear mounted gun. It's actually, I think it's right in saying that it's not actually an emplacement as such. It's not a turret as such with a man in it. I think if my memory serves, it's actually electronically operated. It's done by cameras, I think. I don't think a man physically sits in the back. And then you've got those twin guns going in. They go right above the engines. It's getting warm now, isn't it? And then you have got sort of a close-up of how that's all fitting together here. And then again we've got these quite small various sensors that are going on the back, both sides, left and right. Bringing in our canopy. Now this is where the canopy masks come in, and they provided the mask, which is really good, I've got to say. Are they pre-cut? I think they are pre-cut, yeah. Use masks when painting the canopies, and they must be pre-cut. Then we've got lots of little tiny aerials and antennas that are going in with super glue, and you've got these slightly ugly, typical Soviet era wing fences that are like strakes on the wing, which kind of understand it though when you've got they've at least only got one, not like that Su-17, which you've got loads of them. Because obviously you've got like a difference in air pressure there where the actual swing wing effect is. Although, you know, the Tornado didn't need those, did it? Yeah? So I go back to my original point, which I always make, saying that to me it just smacks of bad aerodynamics, really, or compromised aerodynamics anyway. To have those on, you know, that must affect their turn speed and the rate of turn and stuff like that. Imitation of hatches on the surface of the fuselage, which is a decal sheet. Decals, look at that, that's cool. That's a good idea. Show these hatches by scribing the panel lines. Use masks as templates. Scribing the panel lines. I'm not sure I like that one. No, I'm not sure I like that. I think I'll just leave them as decals if I were you. Anyway, it's up to the individual, of course. They're actually like pressure hatches, aren't they, for releasing pressure through the engine. Back pressure. Presume that they have that open when they're at maybe when they're at lower speeds, perhaps. I don't know how it works. And then we've got these various missiles it mentioned. I've got different loadouts, and they have these folding style fins which unfold as soon as it's released, of course. You can see there the loadout data. Quite well done, isn't it? And then on this side you've got the other type of missile, and these nuclear bombs. We've got quite a lot of loadout here. We've got different options here. Okay. And then we've got over here, there's a lot of fins. This is where all the super glue PE parts come in, because it's mainly fins, I think, for the bombs. And then here you've got a lot of bomblets, small bombs that you can drop, conventional bombs, mounted on pylons underneath as well. So it's got quite a big bomb load. Does it have a bomb bay as such? I think they do, don't they? I think it's sort of like a rotating bomb bay, if I remember correctly. Or not the bay itself, but the actual one of those rotating carousel delivery systems. When you look here, you can see the sheer variety of different loadout that you've got. That's quite impressive. It tells you which are the popular colours you can use to paint it. And it says here, the TU-22 is painted the standard colour scheme of the Soviet Air Force. Grey on the upper surface and white on the lower. Fairly conventional stuff, really. Not so much different to today, is it, really? There we go. I like the instruction leaflet. Could have had a little bit more information about the weapons, I think, in terms of when it shows the loadout. It could have gone to a little bit more detail. But other than that, really good. Nice, compact little book. Doesn't waste any time. It's fairly clear. I like it. Very good. Okay, so that's that, which we will just pop that away for a second. And we'll get our teeth into the actual parts of the kit, which I think is going to be extremely interesting. Okay. So far so good, looking very good. That fails to amaze me that we can have manufacturers like this. It's like ICM, isn't it? You know, and the others, Model Spit, and all these other guys that are still manufacturing in this country that's having such a tough time. This particular manufacturer, I won't say the exact location, but they're a bit more central in the country actually. May not be such a good thing, but here we have our mask set. Now this, I'm going to need my optivisors to see these masks, because they are pre-cut, but it's really hard to spot. Maybe you can make it out with the camera. The camera's got a better chance than my eyes have, actually. Can you make that out? Let me just see if I can use the blow up effect. Just bear with me a second. Just hold on. Disaster here. I wasn't quite prepared for that. There we go. Put the old glasses on and see what we've got. Now then. Oh yes, they are all pre-cut. They are indeed. It's very finely done. Can you see that? Don't know if you can. Everyone is cut out for you. It's all there. Wow, that's impressive actually. Guess we like that. I'm impressed that they've included a mask. Just something I've mentioned to ICM. It's the one thing that they lack in their kits actually. And these guys have obviously decided they're going to get that done. I wonder if there's any chance that those two companies might have a cooperation or use the same supplier or something in the future. You never know. Now, what have we got here? I see. This is these the hatches I was just speaking of, and again, it's actually it said it's a decal. Is it a decal? This is a little bit confusing. Because over here we've got definitely a decal here, and then this appears to be more of it's a mask set. So you've got an option. You can either decal it or you can do it in masks. That's quite clever. It's more than you normally would expect. I'm not too sure, if I'm being brutally honest with you, about the price of this kit. I think it's around about the £30 mark, 35, something like that. Which is very good value, I would suggest, for such an interesting subject. Now here we've got their decals. Yeah, they look okay. There's not any great excess of carrier film there. Nice Ukrainian markings and some Soviet ones, should you want them. Got your instrumentation there. And there's not too many of them, and it doesn't have thousands of stencils. So it's fairly manageable, isn't it? Fairly manageable. Then we have got PE. Now this is mainly aerials and antennas, and those wing fences, which you can see at the bottom right there, big ones, like a big C shape almost, around the wing. And of course your afterburner rings, which looks very nice. It's very fine, it's very thin. Much thinner than, say, Tamiya, or even Edward photo, actually, for that matter. And theirs isn't particularly thick. Yes, I'm very impressed with all that. That is good. They've included absolutely everything to make it. So, let's zoom out. I'll have a little nice sip of the Balvenie, if you don't mind. I know it's New Year and everything, but I'm actually filming this just before Christmas, so hence the lights are up. Where do we begin? Let's have a look at this then. We've got these nice resealable bags like ICM do as well, which is good. Oops. Okay, so yeah, it's very thin, aren't they? Really done. This is reminded me of the Models Fit style, actually, in many ways. Very thin. It's very light. A light touch with the panel lines, but it's very clear and sharp looking. Yeah. They're so subtle you can't actually feel them. Oh, not with the gloves on anyway. No, that's really nice actually. Very subtly done. So you've got like an insert, as you can see, for the wing there. There is the insert itself. And obviously it's a swing wing, as we said. So there's not much wrong with that, is there? Very finely done. No flash or anything, no sign of anything like that. Then over here we've got, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Just bear with me one moment. There's one thing I didn't quite prepare today, which is this. I think I'll just need a little bit more clarity for you. Changing the background so the camera doesn't get so confused. So you've got your back area where the burner cans come out there, and you've got all of your undercarriage parts. You've got your ejection seats here. Let's hope these go up and not down like certain other ones. Was it the blinder where they went down? Good Lord, can you imagine that? Then we've got the various parts around the front wheel well, including the wheel well itself here. Some very tiny, fine parts there, and they're very beautifully moulded. No flash, not a hint of it at all, not that I can see. And then you've got these intakes for the trunking for the actual engines. That's very nice. That's that one. And then we have over here, for some reason they put a protector around it. I'm not entirely sure why they did that. So we've got the horizontal stabilisers, and we've got the tail section. So you've got your tail, and again we've got this very subtle panel lines. I mean, it's clearly there. You can't feel it. That's how subtle it is. So you just be careful when you're painting this and priming it. Don't go heavy. I'm thinking you want the very lightest coat of primer. You don't want to be putting too many thick, heavy coats of paint, because I think it might just cover these panel lines up a bit too much. Subtlety is going to be required here. Okay, well that's that one. Seems to be... Sorry, just draw you back. It's quite good, isn't it? So far so good, as they say. I'm not entirely sure why they put that there, unless it's to... I see. It's an antique, that's a good idea. So what they've done, they've put this sleeve over it, and the idea is to create a buffer between the three. Make that, put that back on the central sprue, and then you avoid any scratching and abrasing between the three sprues. Quite a good idea. Simple idea, but very effective. It's one of those ideas where you think, why didn't everybody else think of that already? It's incredible. Okay. That's that one. Very nice indeed. Next one. I still haven't seen these 3D parts. I didn't drop anything, did I? I don't think I did. Oh, they're here. I found them. It's okay. Here they come. Here they come. Oops. So they're actually in a little separate tiny bag. So subtle you almost miss it. It says, I'm trying to get into the bag without much success. There we go. Right. Oh, time for this. I'm glad I've got the gloves on. Right, okay. So we've got 3D parts for the engine burners. Well, not sure about this really. In that, I'm not entirely sure whether 3D was strictly necessary here. See what you think. Now then. I'm not entirely sure that they are as outstanding as 3D is sometimes. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but they seem a bit subtle. There's no great huge detail on the inside of them, so I'm just wondering in my head why 3D was used particularly. Not really convinced that was needed, actually. Because it's a very subtle sort of the sort of lining in the burner can on the outside, and on the inside it's just smooth. So, and that other stuff at the bottom is going to get cut away. So, not really sure why they did that actually. I'm not sure that wasn't done just to say we've got 3D parts, because I can't see any particular advantage in using 3D here. It's very nice though, I'm not criticising it, just a bit puzzled really. Seems odd why that wasn't just injection moulded with the rest of it. Not too clear. Anyway, let's have a look at what we have got this injection moulded. So here we've got the fuselage, and it's the lower fuselage of course. Look at this. They've done this very nicely. This panel lining is, again, it's very subtle, and it needs to be at this scale. It needs to be very subtle. I think that's a good thing. Can we see that? Look at this. Yeah, it's really, really mild. You can feel it a little bit more here. Perhaps it's a little bit more obvious to the touch, but it's, yeah, that's a bit more conventional, I'd say. But you know, you can't have deep trenches when you've got a 144 scale kit, because it's going to look ridiculous, and they've got it, I'd say they've got that just about right, the balance there. Then we've got the trunking for the tubes for the actual engines themselves. Bit of internal detail inside them. In fact, that's very good detail. That's very noticeable when you run your finger on it. Can you see that? Yeah, that's good. I like that sprue. That's excellent. And then we've got a sprue with all your wheels and tyres on, and pylons basically. So you've got weapons pylons here, and the many, many wheels and tyres over here. Yeah. It's quite a lot of small parts, aren't there? It's got quite a high part count for a small model. Oh my lord, and you can see why. So these are parts of the weapons, I think, aren't they? Look at this lot. Yes. A lot of small parts, but lovely and flash free, it must be said. Look at that. Very clean moulding, isn't it? It's sharp. Yes, we like that. It's all like the sway braces for the weapons, isn't it? That's very cool. And then lastly, we've got the top fuselage here. That's interesting. There's a bit of a scuff there, like they've polished the mould. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. See what I mean? It's like they've polished the mould. Perhaps there's been a bit of a flaw. And there is a panel line there. There's actually a panel line there, and it's fading out a bit. You can see it, can't you? Yes, I'm not sure that isn't an error, actually. Or perhaps a correction of some description. You can see it's very shiny, as though the tool has been polished. Can you see that? Yeah, you see it there, can't you? Anyway, again we have this very subtle panel lining everywhere. Very, very nice. Excellent detail, especially at this scale. There's your engine intakes, and you get your instrumentation panels all here. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I just wonder what's gone on there. Something slightly unusual has happened, I think. That's very good. Then we got this little bag, which I think is the clear parts. Let's have a look at the house. It's quite an ambitious project for a first model, this, I think. I mean, most people's first model's always a bloody Spitfire, isn't it? Right, here's your clear parts, and they're lovely. That's really nice. And this is coming out on the camera as well. That's actually really nice. Look at that. So obviously this is where you have to get busy with the old masks, because it's got a lot of areas that's actually metal on the real aircraft, and only part of it, a small part of it, is actually windows. So you need to mask it all off. That is an excellent bit of clear parts. It's almost like ICM have done it for them. Really, really good. Absolutely fantastic. That's impressed me greatly. That's better than I was anticipating, to be fair. Cool. Okay. So that yeah, that's the other part. Of course, here is the sensor that goes under the nose. But look at that, I wasn't really expecting clear parts to impress me like that. I mean, that's better than the mini art clear parts that we saw in that Thunderbolt, isn't it? Let's be honest, which I was not very enamoured about. I'm showing that mini art kit, they produced a really lovely kit, but I didn't think the clear parts were up to the rest of it at all. And they've got a new Thunderbolt coming out of mini art, because they used to be in Ukraine, didn't they? But then they moved to Poland. So I wonder if that's one of the reasons. I wonder if there's any correlation between mini art and Armour Hobby, who are also in Poland, in that they've both produced kits where, previously having really had fantastic stuff, they've produced a kit which has not quite been at the races in the same way as some of their earlier work. Like in the case of Armour, the Hurricane, which was brilliant, and then they've come out with that P-39 Aerocobra, which was not quite to the same standard really. I haven't actually reviewed it, but I've certainly seen it, and I've heard quite a lot of people grumbling about it, so I'm pretty sure they're right. It can't be a coincidence. It's a general feeling that they've actually declared apparently that they've used another third-party company, a different company, to do some of the injection moulding. Anyway, back to Litaki. Let's have a look at this last bag. It's it's quite good value, I think this is going to be, because it's a lot of parts. It's just potentially could be a little bit fiddly. Anyway, here's the nose section, and again we've got this lovely subtle panel lining. Here it is. Now then, what have we got here? That's nice, isn't it? Again, the subtleties there. But it's very even, it runs evenly, not like some manufacturers that you go underneath and it just falls away almost and fades away. It's not like that, it's very comprehensive. That's got a slight F111 look about it, this front end, hasn't it? You know? Doesn't suffer with the F111's ejectable canopy area though. Sorry, ejectable cockpit, not canopy. The whole cockpit ejects like a spacecraft. A very bizarre concept that was. quite why the British were so keen on the F-111. I sound like I'm having a bit of a moan here, but the British were going to have the F-111 when they cancelled the TSR-2, didn't they? What drugs they were taking at the time. Because quite a few people had died in that ejection capsule going wrong. It happened in the attack on Tripoli, didn't it? Anyway, digressing. Back to the TU-22. So here you can see you've got the sides, these areas where, sides at the back where the engines are, bodywork, and then you've got your rear, this electric cannon turret, rear gun turret, which is quite interesting. You have also got the fins. Is that the rear? Trying to identify what these are now. Pum, pum, pum. Is that the rear? It's not the tail, is it? No, not the tail. I think this is part of the underside of the fuselage. Interesting. Slightly better look, see what I mean now. They're very good though with their... I'll tell you something I'm noticing that's odd about this model. Odd but in a good way. I can't see any ejector pin marks. Now why would that be? See what I mean? I've turned it onto the reverse. Look at this. No ejector pins. How odd. How are they getting this out of the mould? Me wonders. Obviously it was fixed into the mould in that central section there somehow. So maybe the central section is like one great big ejector pin. But you normally need to have some to get the thing out of the mould. I can't see any ejector pins on that at all. And on this one now, there's none on that either. How very odd. On the inside, no ejector pin marks. No ejector pin marks. This coming out of the mould then. Have they discovered alchemy or something? Anyway, here you've got your anti-ship missiles, etc. Was it air-to-air? It might be anti-aircraft missiles as well. I suspect that's an anti-ship missile, it's so huge. And then you've got these various fins that go on the bombs and weapons. Missiles, I should say. It's nice, isn't it? Again, there's no ejector pins anywhere. This is a bit of a mystery. They're obviously using a different kind of technology with their moulding system. I can't recall another model I've seen that on. And then finally we've got our underside here. So there's quite a bit of detail to take a look at here. So this is underneath where the gear area is. And you've got some really nice panel line detailing areas here on the central fuselage. Yeah. I'm still a bit mystified about whether it had a bomb bay. I'm pretty sure it did. I think it carried a nuclear bomb in the bomb bay, and that was the idea of it, really. So the really big stuff was in the central bomb bay. And then you've got the top area here that covers over the sort of inboard part of the wing. And again, it's got this very super subtle, you know, with my gloves on I can barely feel anything at all. So you've just got to be a little bit careful when you're painting, because if you go heavy with a thick coat of primer and maybe a too thick coat of paint, you could really paint over the actual detail and it could fade away. So I think when you're doing these smaller scale kits, you've got to be a little bit more subtle with your painting technique anyway. Well, I'm very impressed, I have to say. The quality is very, very high in terms of the moulding. There's no warpage anywhere, nothing's warped. And this thing about no ejector pins has got me slightly baffled. Interesting. I might write and ask him and say, what's your secret? And I'm just fascinated by how they're getting these sprues out of the actual mould without any apparent ejector pins. So perhaps it's a different type of technology, I don't know. Something going on interesting there. Anyway, there we are. So that's the Litaki TU-22 bomber. Ow! I was going to say, what don't I like about it? I don't like that serrated edge there. That's just very sharp. Good job I got the old gloves on. That would have ripped me right open, I think. A little bit serrated. So, what don't I like about it? Well, Nothing really. One or two things that seemed a bit odd. I don't think they needed to do 3D printing of that exhaust burner can, because frankly, if we're being really honest about it, I don't think there's any advantage there at all, actually. I don't think that was needed. It's just not brought anything extra to the party that you wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't be able to do in the moulding process. So that was a bit odd. I really like the packaging. I think they've done a wonderful job with packing it, and you can see how it's arrived in absolutely premium mint condition. You can repack it as we're talking, because it's quite an interesting point, isn't it? You've got two areas there where they've done a splendid job with it, actually. It's a lovely little kit, that. And those clear parts. So, turned a bit critical of the tiny criticism of the instructions, but really very good, actually. Don't think they needed to bother with that 3D printing, but they've got masks in there. A very competent looking kit to me. I don't know what it goes together like. Very clean. Just needs a bit of subtlety with the painting, but apart from that, well, I'm going to give it 9.75 out of 10. I got this, it didn't cost me anything. I'm not giving it extra points because of that. What's not to like about it, really? It's a really nice model, is that? And they've gone about it as though it's a real premium product with that packaging, stop any scratching. Clear parts are exceptional. Yeah, very, very interesting. I'm liking it a lot. 9.75 out of 10. So to Oleg at Litaki, I say thank you very much. I hope that's got the sort of score you were hoping for. I'd be a bit, I just have to think about your 3D printing, whether it's actually the best way to go about it. People like me who are not very keen on using super glue. It is a bit fiddly. That's the only one thing I would say about this model. You need to be very patient. There's a lot of photo etch there. A lot of photo etch, and there's some very fine pieces there. So if you don't like working with photo etch and super glue, that might put some people off. Get yourself some of this ultra glue, which I've got. I think that might be a big help. But yeah, sorry, I forgot the colour call outs. They did that brilliantly. So as a new manufacturer's first attempt, first kit, I would say that is a win, a real win for them. So well done, Litaki. I'm very impressed. I'm now going to go and have a look at other reviews on how Phil Florian one. I didn't watch it at all, promise you. So I've got no idea what he said about it. It'd be quite interesting to see what his view of it is as well. And I'll go and have a look at a few others and see what other people are making of it. Because sometimes I spot things that others miss, and others spot things that I miss. Happens all the time. And it's quite interesting to actually do that. Do your own review, be completely unguided by anybody else, and then go see what they say. And sometimes when you actually put everybody's notes together, you end up with a very good total overall view of a kit by doing that. I do it myself. And when I'm looking at buying one, impressive stuff. Very impressive stuff. Great that a new manufacturer can even think about starting a new business doing things like this in Ukraine. And I take my hat off to you, to Litaki. I think that's excellent. And the more the merrier, as I said. And obviously they're not going to be, I don't think, going to be as prolific as ICM. But we have got the other two kits I mentioned to review for you in the very near future, which I'll be doing. So rest assured we'll be seeing more of this in the next week or two. So thanks very much to them. Thank you to yourselves for watching the video. I hope you thought it was interesting and you're as impressed as I am. Very interesting to see something like that coming through, and it's a nice subject not covered by too many other people really, especially not at that scale. So yeah, very welcome kit indeed. So until next time, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, give me a like please, and don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing is very important at the moment. I'm trying to get to my 10,000th subscriber, which I'm hoping to do by February. So thank you to everybody who has joined us already. Don't forget to ding the notification bell if you haven't already. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. Stay well, stay safe, and stay warm in the winter weather. Those of you in the northern hemisphere anyway. The Aussies will be saying, "Yeah, mate, it's fine, But thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. In the meantime, thanks a lot. Bye for now.